Hi guys, so today we will be studying Ind AS 10 events after the reporting period. We will be studying this directly from the module notes. So let's begin. I have highlighted the text which I will be explaining and which is important in the standard. So we will be studying only that relevant text. First, now what is events after the reporting period? If I had to informally give you the definition of this, it means events between the end of the reporting period, let us say 31st March, till the date when the financial statements are approved, let us say 31st May. So events between 31st March and 31st May would be events after the reporting period, and such events can be favorable or they can be unfavorable also. Very important, they can also be favorable. What is the definition given here? Events after the reporting period are those events, favorable and unfavorable, that occur between the end of the reporting period and the date when the financial statements are approved. Now I've inserted a note here: read approval of financial statement meaning on page 4.42. So let us read that meaning. Now, what is the meaning of the date when the financial statements are approved? In the case of a company, it is the date when the financial statements are approved by the board of directors. So, date when the board of directors means the date of approval of the financial statements. In case of any other entity, it is the date when the financial statements are approved by the corresponding approving authority. Now, we don't know what is this corresponding approving authority, but whichever is the relevant approving authority for anything other than a company, that will be the date when the financial statements are approved. We will consider for that entity. Okay. Now, important note: if shareholders approval is a must, even if shareholders approval is a must, we will not consider that date. We will only consider the date when the financial statements have been approved by the board of directors. So let us say, for example, financial statements are approved by the BOD on 31st of May. Now, subsequently, we take approval from all shareholders on 5th of June. We will not consider 5th of June. We will consider 31st May only as the end of events after the reporting period. Very important differentiation to be remembered. Next, what date should be considered if in some cases the management of an entity is required to issue its financial statements to a supervisory board made up solely of non-executives for approval. So non-executives is basically independent directors. So let us say we have to first approve the financial statements and then we have to give it to a supervisory board. In this case, the date of approval will be the date when the management has issued the financial statements to the supervisory board for its approval. That is the date when we will consider that the financial statements are approved. Read this example. On 18th May 2000 X2, the management of an entity approves financial statements for issue to its supervisory board. So 18th May X2 only is the end of is the date of approval. You can read here the financial statements are approved for issue on 18th May X2, the date of management approval for issue to the supervisory board. Next, when date of approval is after the public announcement of some other financial information. So what is this saying? That the management of a company, they may announce some profit, or they may announce the EBITDA, or they may announce the revenue that the company is expected to have. They may announce this in the public even before the financial statements are out. They may just make some sort of a public announcement. Now this public announcement, it cannot be considered as the date when the financial statements are approved. The date of approval will be the date when the board of directors only approves it. Okay. Next, let us do question number 1. What is the date of approval for issue of the FS prepared for the reporting period from April 1st X1 to March 31st X2 in a situation where following dates are available? Completion of preparation of FS May 28 X2. This date is of no use. Board reviews and approves it for issue on June 19th X2. Now, what is the question they're asking? Date of approval for issue. We know it. The board has approved it when? On June 19th X2. So that is the date of approval. Now, they are given us another 3 dates available to shareholders. Immaterial annual general meeting is of no use. Filed with regulatory authority, again of no use. Now, next they have also asked, so the date of approval is June 19th X2, which is the date when the board has approved the financial statements. Now, they have also asked us, will your answer differ if the entity is a partnership firm? Answer will differ because in that case, the corresponding approving authority, whoever it is, the date they approve it will be the date of approval for the partnership firm. Okay. Question number 2. ABC Limited prepared interim financial report for the quarter ending June 30th X1. The interim financial report was approved for issue by the board of directors on July 15th X1. whether events occurring between the end of the interim financial report and date of approval by board of directors, that is events between July X1 and July 15th X1, that provide evidence of conditions that existed at the end of the interim report period shall be adjusted in the interim financial report. Yes. So this standard also applies to interim financial reports also. And if there is some event occurring between July 1st and July 15th, that is the period when we will check the events if they are adjusting or non-adjusting event, and there is some event that is providing further evidence of conditions that existed as on balance sheet date, then that is an adjusting event and we have to apply the changes from that event in the financial statements. So you can read the highlighted part in the answer. Therefore, in the instant case, events occurring between July 1st and July 15th that provide evidence of conditions that existed at the end of the interim reporting period should be adjusted in the interim financial report ending June 30th X1. Question number 3. This is an important illustration. The board of directors of ABC Limited approved the financial statements for the reporting period X1, X2 for issue on June 15th, X2. The management of ABC discovered a major fraud and decided to reopen the books of account. The financial statements were subsequently approved by the BOD on June 30th, X2. What is the date of approval for issue as per Ind AS 10 in the given case? So if you see this case, you have got two dates of approval by the board. Now, which date do we take? We have to take the subsequent date. The last time when the board has approved, that will be the final date, and that will be the date of approval. So in this case, on June 15th and June 30th, two times they have approved. The board has approved. So we will consider June 30th as the date of approval. See the highlighted text. The date of approval should be taken as the date on which financial statements are finally approved by the BOD. In this case, it will be considered 30th June. Next, types of events. You will have two types: adjusting, non-adjusting events. Adjusting is those that provide evidence of conditions that existed at the end of the reporting period. Non-adjusting, those that are indicative of conditions that arose after the reporting period. Adjusting events are such that are providing you additional evidence of conditions that are on the balance sheet date. Non-adjusting are which are providing you indications of something that has happened post the balance sheet date. Very important, adjusting events you will adjust in the financial statements. Non-adjusting events you will not adjust in the financial statements. And if a non-adjusting event is material, then you will provide a disclosure for the same, and you will also give the financial impact on the financial statements. And if you cannot estimate the financial impact, you will give a disclosure that we are unable to estimate the financial impact of this non-adjusting event. Very important. I'll repeat this again. Adjusting events you will adjust in the financial statements. Non-adjusting events you will not adjust in the financial statements. But if the non-adjusting event is material, you will make a disclosure of the same, and you will also write the financial impact. If you cannot estimate the financial impact, you will write this fact in the financial statements. Next, illustration 4. A case is going on between ABC Limited and GST Department on claiming some exemption for the year X1, X2. The court has issued the order on 15th April X2 and rejected the claim of the company. Accordingly, the company is liable to pay the additional tax. So the court has issued the order when 15th April, and the company has to pay the additional tax because the court has rejected the company's claim. The financial statements have been approved on 15th May. So basically 31st March X2 to 15th May X2, events between this are subsequent events, and the court ka order has come on 15th April X2, which is giving you further evidence of conditions that existed as on balance sheet date. The case was already going on for the year X1, X2. On 15th April, you come to know that the case which was going on, that case has gone against the company, and the company has now additional liability. So they have to make provision for the same, since this will become an adjusting event. Should the company account for such tax in the year X1, X2 or X2, X3? In X1, X2 only, because this is an adjusting event. Next, now just read this example. The bankruptcy of a customer that occurs after the reporting period usually confirms that the customer was credit impaired at the end of the reporting period. So let us say if we come to know that a customer has become bankrupt on, let's say, 15th of April. So that actually means that on 31st March also he was, in line to become bankrupt, or he was, going to become bankrupt. It is just around 15th of April he has become bankrupt now. Okay. So it is an adjusting event. Illustration 5, let's read. While preparing its FS for the year ended 31st March X1, XYZ Limited made a general provision for bad debts at 5% of its debtors. In the last week of February 2000 X1, a debtor for rupees 2 lakhs had suffered heavy losses due to an earthquake. The losses were not covered by any insurance policy. Considering the event of earthquake, XYZ Limited made a provision at 50% of the amount receivable from that debtor, apart from the general provision of 5% on remaining debtors. In April X1, the debtor became bankrupt. Can XYZ Limited provide for the full loss arising out of insolvency of the debtor in the financial statement? So the answer will be yes. April X1, he has become bankrupt, but that is only providing us additional information that he was already credit impaired on 31st March X1, and so we should make full provision for rupees 2 lakhs and not just 50%. Next, would your answer be different if the earthquake had taken place after 31st March X1 and therefore XYZ Limited did not make any specific provision in context at debtor and made only general provision at 5%? Yes, the answer would be different because the earthquake would become a non-adjusting event if it happened after 31st March X1. Because let's say it happened on 10th of April. This earthquake will happen on 10th of April. We did not know on 31st March. It is not providing us further evidence of anything that was there during the financial year. It is a new event and hence it is a non-adjusting event. It would become. So in the first case, full provision will make for 2 lakhs. Second case, it will be a non-adjusting event. You can read this. Also, if the non-adjusting events are material, then we will make a disclosure of the same. We will write the nature of the event and an estimate of its financial effect or a statement that such estimate cannot be made. Very important, this disclosure if the non-adjusting event is material. This is a new requirement of Ind AS 10. This was not there in AS 4, which was the old accounting standard. Next, the sale of inventories after the reporting period may give evidence about their net realizable value at the end of the reporting period. Now, at what value do we value inventories as per Ind AS 2? Cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Now, cost, so we will have cost details we will have because that is the purchase price of the inventory. But NRV ka value, we can get evidence of that from the value at which the inventory is sold post the balance sheet date. So then we can compare. Let's say, for example, inventory ka cost is 50,000. 31st March ko we know inventory cost is 50,000 and we have valued the inventory at 50,000 only. But let's say 5th of April, we sell the inventory at 25,000. So now we have come to know that the net realizable value is only 25,000, and this is giving us further evidence of conditions that existed at the balance sheet date. So now you can actually value the inventory at 50,000, which is its cost, or NRV 25,000, whichever is lower, and therefore you should value it at 25,000 since it is an adjusting event. Let us go for the example. Illustration 6. A company has inventory of 100 finished cars on 31st March X2 which are having a cost of 4 lakhs each. On 30th April X2, as per the new government rules, higher road tax and penalties are to be paid by the buyers for such cars which were already expected to come. So you were expecting these new road tax and penalties to come, and they have come now, and hence the selling price of a car has drastically come down. Selling price has now come down to rupees 3 lakhs. Financial statements for the year X1, X2 are not yet approved. So you have cost 4 lakh and NRV you have come to know now 3 lakhs, whichever is lower. Should the company value its stock at 4 lakh or should it value at 3 lakh each? It should value it at 3 lakh since the selling price which you have come to know now has given you only further evidence of conditions that existed as at balance sheet date. Okay? Illustration 7. ABC Limited has purchased a new machinery during the year X1, X2. The asset was finally installed and made ready for use on 15th March X2. However, the company involved in installation and training, which was also the supplier, has not yet submitted the final bills for the same. So basically, you have already purchased it, but the purchase amount you do not know as on the year end. The supplier company sent the bills on 10th April X2 when the financial statements were not approved. So this is again an adjusting event. It is giving you only further evidence of conditions that existed as at balance sheet date. Hence, you should adjust. Should the company adjust the amount of capitalization in the year X1, X2, you should adjust it in X1, X2 only itself. Next, the determination after the reporting period of the amount of profit sharing or bonus payments if the entity had a present legal or constructive obligation at the end of the reporting period to make such payments as a result of events before that date. So what is this saying? Ki as at 31st March, as at year end, if you have a legal obligation or a constructive obligation to share profits or to make bonus payments, that will be an adjusting event even though you may decide it on, let's say, 15th April, that is post the reporting period. Now what is legal obligation? Legally you are required to share profits. Constructive obligation is what? A habitual obligation. Let's say every year you are paying bonus, so this year also your employees will assume that you are going to pay bonus, so you are having a constructive obligation to pay bonus. Even then you will have to make a provision for the same. Even if you have announced it after the year end, it will be an adjusting event and you need to provide for it as at year end. This is again very important. If any error or any fraud is detected after the reporting period which is related to the reporting period, entity should adjust the financial statements appropriately by rectifying the same. So if you come to know of any error or fraud in the reporting period financials, after the reporting period has ended, you should adjust for it, because it is an adjusting event. It is only giving you further evidence of some error or fraud which already existed. Next point, this is important, long-term loan arrangements. When there is a breach of a material provision of a long-term loan arrangement on or before the end of the reporting period, with the effect that the liability becomes payable on demand on the reporting date, the agreement by lender before the approval of the financial statements for issue to not demand payment as a consequence of the breach shall be considered as an adjusting event. So now let us try to slowly understand this point. What is this saying? Let's say for example, the company has taken a loan of rupees 5 lakhs repayable in 3 years. So right now as on 31st March, it is a non-current liability. But let us say there was a condition attached to that loan that you have to make monthly interest payments. If you don't make the monthly interest payments, the loan will become repayable on demand. Whenever the lender will want, then I will have to pay it if I make a default of interest payment. Now let's say 31st March month, the company defaults on the interest payment. So now the loan will become a current liability from a non-current liability. Initially it was a 3-year loan, but since we have defaulted on the interest payment, now the lender can ask us for repaying the loan at any point. However, let's say on 15th April, that is post the reporting period, if we enter into a new arrangement with the lender not to demand payment, we tell him that we will pay you some kind of penalty, but don't demand a payment now. Let us keep the initial only contract in existence, that is 3-year loan. And if he agrees to same, that is he agrees not to demand payment, then we will again classify the liability as non-current and we will not show it as current liability. So let's read this point again. Where there is a breach of a material provision of a long-term loan arrangement on or before the end of the reporting period, with the effect that the liability becomes payable on demand on the reporting date, the agreement by lender before the approval of FS for issue to not demand payment as a consequence of the breach shall be considered as an adjusting event. You can read this example which is given below this to understand this better. What is this example saying? Basically, debentures have been issued and a certain ratio had to be maintained. Now ratio was not maintained, hence the debentures became redeemable. It became a current liability. You have to redeem it immediately, but they entered into a new agreement and hence the debentures became a non-current liability. Next, Ind AS 10 specifically requires that if after the reporting period but before approval, there are any signs of not continuing the operation, so basically a going concern issue, or a decision is taken during that period not to continue with the operations in spite of the fact that a decision was taken after the reporting period, still the entity should prepare the financial statement with a different approach and accordingly inform the stakeholders clearly that the entity is planning to cease operations. So basically what is this saying? If going concern was threatened, if you are not going to continue operations in the current year itself, then you will not make your financial statements on going concern assumption, on going concern basis. But let us say after the financials, after the reporting period but before approval, if you decide to close on operations, still going concern will be considered as an adjusting event. So you can see the note I have added here. Going concern is an exception to Ind AS 10. It will always be considered as an adjusting event if it happens before your approval of financial statements date. Illustration 8. Company XYZ Limited was formed to secure the tenders floated by a telecom company for publication of telephone directories. It backed the tender for publishing directories for Pune Circle for 5 years. So it has got a contract to publish telephone directory for Pune for 5 years. It has made a profit in X1, X2, X2, X3, X3, X4 and X4, XY. So 4 years it has made profit. It bid in tenders for publication of directories for other circles, Nagpur, Nashik, Mumbai, Hyderabad. But as per the results declared on 23rd April X5, the company failed to bag any of these. So it had bid for 4 more contracts, but on 23rd April, that is post the reporting period, it has come to know that it has failed to bag any of the contracts. All the tenders that they sent have not been selected. Its only activity till date is publication of Pune, which is there for 5 years, and the contract of publication of directories of Pune will also expire on 31st December X5. So basically, if you try to analyze the points that they have given in this example, you can see that the going concern is under threat and the company may no longer be a going concern after the results that have been declared on 23rd April X5. Accordingly, this will be an adjusting event and the financial statements should not be prepared on going concern basis. You can read the highlighted part. In this case, the entity determines that it has no realistic alternative continuing the business. Preparation of FS for X5, X4 and thereafter on going concern basis may not be appropriate. Question number 9. In the plant of PQR Limited, there was a fire on 10th of May X1 in which the entire plant was damaged and the loss of rupees 40 lakhs is estimated. The claim with the insurance company has been filed and a recovery of rupees 27 lakhs is expected. So if you see 10th of May is after the reporting period, so it should be a non-adjusting event since the fire has occurred. And on 31st March, we obviously would not know that a fire is going to occur in the future. So this is a non-adjusting event since it is indicative of conditions that arose after the balance sheet date. But now if you read this important point is in which the entire plant was damaged. So this may indicate that the going concern of the company is under threat. So you can write a two-way answer that if the going concern is under threat, it is an adjusting event and therefore it would not be appropriate. If however going concern is not a threat, then this should be considered as a non-adjusting event. Okay. Next, dividends. So dividends, if you are declaring post the reporting period, they will be a non-adjusting event, but only disclosure needs to be made in accordance with Ind AS 1 presentation of FS. Question number 10. ABC Limited declares the dividend on 15th of July X2 as the results of year X1, X2 as well as quarter 1 ending 30th June X2 are better than expected. The financial statements of the company are approved on 20th July X2 for the financial year ending 31st March X2. So your events after the reporting period will be 31st March X2 till 20th July X2. Will the dividend be accounted for in the financial year X2, X3 or X1, X2? So the dividend has been declared on 15 July X2. So it is obviously X2, X3 only where you will account for it. But in X1, X2 financials, you will make a disclosure for the same. Question number 11. What would be the treatment for dividends declared to redeemable preference shareholders after the reporting period but before the financial statements are approved for issue? Whether Ind AS 10 prescribes any accounting treatment for such dividends. Now, Ind AS is prescribing the accounting treatment for equity dividends. That is, if dividends are declared post the reporting period, we will only make a disclosure of the same. We will not adjust it. But for preference shares, they are eligible for a fixed payment of dividend every year, and it's just like debt or bonds or any kind of liability, a loan that we have, and we have to pay interest every year, and therefore it is an adjusting event, or you would have already recognized it itself. Okay? So this is not necessarily something that falls within the purview of Ind AS 10. See, you can see the highlighted part. Dividend payments to such reference shares are recognized as expense in the same way as interest on a bond. Since interest is charged on time basis, the requirements of Ind AS 10 regarding date of declaration of dividend are not relevant for its recognition. Disclosure: an entity shall disclose the date when the financial statements are approved for issue and who gave that approval. So this point has to be disclosed in your financial statements. Next, disclosure of non-adjusting events. So we need to give a disclosure for any material non-adjusting event. And what do we need to disclose? We need to disclose the nature of the event and an estimate of its financial effect or a statement that such an estimate cannot be made. Yes, so this is it about Ind AS 10. I will make a separate video for the test your knowledge questions. So do watch out for that. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please do like, comment and subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye.